From his iconic Twitter post to his promise to take humans to Mars, there's no shortage of material for an Elon Musk documentary. And it turns out we might actually be getting one. Let's take a look at all the details of the movie, like what it's about in the first place. Elon's entire life really is the gift that keeps on giving. After all, the guy's life is pretty interesting. From the son of a mine owner to becoming one of the most influential men on the planet. He's a pretty polarizing figure too, with some people seeing him as a rich brat, and others as the second coming of Christ. You can't deny, the guy cuts a pretty interesting character. People have been saying he deserves an entire movie on his own, and it looks like the bigwigs at Hollywood have been listening. We're finally going to see the life of the elusive tech mogul in Musk, a documentary that aims to peel the layer of mystery surrounding him. You best believe that people worldwide have their ears perked up for any news. And why wouldn't they, given the kind of talent that's going to have a hand in making this? So, who's making this documentary, and why should we be excited? Well, I'm pretty happy to let you guys know that the documentary is about to be in very, very safe hands. After all, it's being made by Alex Gibney, a man known for making some of the most scathing documentaries of the 21st century. To give you a little refresher, let's talk about the kind of work he's done, like his seminal masterpiece, Going Clear, which gave viewers an unprecedented inside look into the working of the Church of Scientology.
For one fleeting second thinking, well, maybe it's an insanity test. Maybe if you believe this, they kick you out. Maybe that's it. That, of course, is not the case. They talk about, the fact that the Earth was created and such trillions of years ago.
This isn't even his first time talking about the tech industry. After all, this guy skewered Silicon Valley in The Inventor. If that wasn't enough, the man even won an Oscar back in 2007 for his documentary on a taxi driver's life during the Afghan War. Clearly, he has more than enough skill and experience to bring any kind of in-depth documentary to life.
You don't usually see people around the world lighting candles to them. I looked at a guy who started out very much as a renegade, wanting to stick it to the man, and ended up becoming the man himself.
And skill is exactly what he's going to need to take on the king of tech bros. For his part, the auteur is super excited to be working on the project, promising to shed light on Elon's life in ways we've never seen, a statement you can bet has sparked some crazy levels of debate on social media. How are people on the interwebs reacting to the documentary anyway? To put it in a single word, hilariously. After all, with any kind of news involving Elon, you can bet your granny there's going to be an absolute flood of memes on Twitter. This time was no different, as people are viciously clowning the Twitter CEO, with many convinced the biopic is basically going to be a failed compilation. With the recent trend of Musk having very public meltdowns, can you blame them? But we always hear about what Musk doubters have to say. What about his very, very vocal fans? After all, the man has a legendary following all over the world, so you'd expect people that like him to be excited, right? Well, not really. See, it looks like Muskers, that's a thing I'm calling Elon fans now, are pretty upset about the documentary. Basically, they see it as another way for left-wing media to try and make Musk look unnecessarily bad. Some people even straight up called it leftist propaganda. Some of his fans, on the other hand, are actually kind of hopeful that the documentary is going to be supportive, which is kind of sweet. Also, somewhat unlikely, given Gibney's previous work, but who am I to stop someone from dreaming, right? The real question, however, is what does the Enigma himself have to say about this retelling of his tale? Well, you best believe that Musk is not a happy camper right now, which might just be the understatement of the year.
So that's like 80–90% of the time. I think sometimes people think I spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Sure.
I don't know why they would think that.
The guy just cannot catch a break right now. Some people might argue that Musk has never been the best at taking criticism, so him being less than impressed by the documentary news isn't exactly a front-page, heavy Newsday headline. What might raise a few eyebrows is the fact that Elon already thinks the documentary is going to be pretty negative. In fact, he straight up called it a hit piece. Now, dear viewer, you might be thinking the same thing that I am right now. How does he know it's going to be a hit piece if we literally really know next to nothing about the movie besides its name and director. I'd assume you'd have to at least watch a trailer before deciding that the documentary about your own life is going to be a hit piece. The director seemed to be thinking the same, firing right back with a simple, "How do you know?" And well, he's not wrong. The real question is whether Musk will allow the trailer for the movie on Twitter when it inevitably comes out. After all, despite his emphasis on free speech, Elon doesn't have the best track record when it comes to documentaries, like the time he removed a scathing documentary from Twitter. Elon's ideas on freedom of speech are clearly pretty important to him.
I use my tweets to express myself. Some people use their hair. I use Twitter.
Well, but you use your tweeting to kind of get back at critics.
And it's why so many people all over the world appreciate him. It's why he bought Twitter in the first place. But this hasn't always been the case. After all, just this year he caved in to BJP pressure from Modi to remove all links regarding a documentary about him. This documentary allegedly was seen as slanderous and offensive, which is why Indian government officials demanded it be taken down. Despite his stands for free speech, not a single link for the documentary remains on Twitter. This doesn't bode particularly well for the Elon documentary, although it would be kind of funny if he straight up just banned any mention of it from Twitter to pretend it wasn't happening. But what kind of content would this documentary even have that's making Musk so antsy? Well, let's take a trip down memory lane and look at some moments from Elon's life that would be perfect for Musk. First off, you could argue that everyone working on Musk definitely has their work cut out for them. After all, it isn't easy to pick and choose what to include when there's so many options to choose from. For one thing, there's a couple of things that the documentary absolutely needs in order to be really definitive, like his journey from Stanford dropout to the creation of SpaceX and becoming Tesla's very own chairman. Of course, it would be almost stupidly criminal for them to not include the entire Twitter saga. It was the talk of the town for months. There's also an endless treasure trove of what can be generously described as fail moments that need to make their way in, like the time he called a Thai cave rescuer a or the time he called Trudeau Hitler, and obviously the time he fired a disabled worker on a public platform and got flamed for it. Yeah, they're pretty spoiled for choice in terms of content. At the same time, this might actually be an interesting opportunity to humanize Elon. After all, the guy is sure to have some great traits, and this is a great way to potentially spotlight them to keep things unbiased. Dogpiling on celebs we don't like is fun, but documentaries are a great way to dismiss black and white narratives.
Well, I'm trying to do good things, yeah. I mean, saving the world is not I mean...
But you're trying to do good things and you're a billionaire. I mean...
Yeah.
Well, folks, that's pretty much the whole scoop on the new Musk documentary. See you next time.